We're here.
Yep.
This is a special episode. You don't know why?
Why?
Because I got a new haircut.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Couldn't tell.
Yep. I know it's a big deal. We're going to spend the first 15 minutes of this episode just covering the most important topics.
Yeah. Your hair being one of them.
Yep. Shortest it's been in 10 years, probably.
Was it that Liz just didn't put a guard on? Or?
No, she's a professional, Elijah.
Oh, yeah.
Please.
Sorry, let's see.
Don't insult her like that.
Sorry.
All right. No, I was just itching for a summer cut, you know?
I mean, it is 100 degrees.
100 degrees out, anything to beat that heat.
Yeah.
So, well, that's not the reason that today's special. Today's special because I get to sit across the table from my best bud in the whole world.
Best buds.
You don't have to reciprocate it. It's fine.
Best buds.
But, okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. I've known you longer than anyone else on the planet aside from my biological family.
Yep. That's true.
Yeah. So we've followed each other around. For those that don't know, Elijah is an elder at our city location, and him and I have followed each other around since we were I don't know, 2 or 3 probably.
Yeah.
I was
really young.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously don't remember the earliest days of our interactions. And it wasn't until the last decade when our friendship really blossomed. But
just took off.
Yeah, it's special, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate leading alongside of you.
Yeah, man.
And we've been through the highest of highs,
the
lowest of lows, everything in between.
Yeah, we have.
And I'm really, really grateful for that.
I am too. It's been really great to experience life with you and Liz, Anna and I, just walking alongside you guys. And you're right, experiencing the highest highs, but also experiencing the lowest lows together. And I think that's where friendships are really formed and forged. And so it's been a joy. Yeah.
There's a ridiculous amount of parallels in our worlds. I mean, first and foremost, both worship leaders.
Yes, true.
And which reminds me, we're taking a poll actually from the public to decide who's the better worship leader. So feel free to comment.
You know what? It seems like people.
I don't want people to comment. Actually, I got a feeling I might lose that battle. So
it's an interesting thing about worship leaders because people feel, you don't often hear people talk about oh, this person's my favorite preacher, but they are totally fine to tell you to your face, that person is my favorite worship leader. So
just in case you weren't aware, this other person over here is my favorite.
It's a unique one.
Yeah, that does happen. So both worship leaders, both now elders on our city leadership team, and both of us have journeyed through foster parenting and just kind of paralleled each other. I mean, you guys have been the biggest support for our family along that journey. Yeah, and man, there's nothing like just walking through facing the most difficult environments of life with somebody shouldering that next to you. Yeah,
and knowing that there's only a few people that understand it.
Yeah,
because it's one thing to be alongside someone, but then to actually understand what someone's going through.
Yeah,
when it comes to foster care, I think has been really, really encouraging for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm realizing how rare it actually is, especially at our age, because I think so many culture right now is so transient. The ability that we have just to pick up and move wherever we want. It's rare. It's more rare now to have people just stay in the same spot, for their entire lives. I mean, we've even moved back, to different parts of the state, but somehow managed to just follow each other in the process. Both lived in St. Joe, Missouri at the same time, same church, grew up there. Then eventually made our way both to St. Louis, to Jubilee at different times. But always seem to follow each other around. But how rare it is to have friendship that runs that deep and that consistently. Yeah, over time, because there's any number of reasons that distance is created in those friendships, and to be a 37-year-old to have that in my life. I'm realizing it's actually not the norm for a lot of people.
Yeah, which is hard to, when you're in it, it's hard to realize that it's not the norm. But it is true. Like, I talk to other people and I'm like, well, yeah, you have this. And they're like, I don't have that. And it's like, oh, that's actually really scary to think like, oh, you feel that way. But, we've been able to experience that deep friendship for quite a few years now.
Yeah, there's that phrase that we've tossed around here, probably from a Brian's sermon, I'm sure, but like, show me your friends and I'll show you my future, or your future.
Yeah.
And the role that friendship plays in the life, well, not just of believers, but of anyone, and the influence that your closest people have on your life. And that rings true for me. I can't think of another guy who's influenced me as much as you have in the course of my life. And so it's, just an honor to run this race alongside you, man.
I love it. It's probably one of the deepest joys, to be running a race and then to look, next to you and to actually see people running with you. I think is just a huge encouragement when things do get hard and when things don't look how you think they're going to look. But then to have other people encouraging you to keep running the race has been a huge, huge blessing. And man, you guys mean so much to us.
Well, same. And this wasn't part of the scheduled programming today.
No, it wasn't.
But I think as I'm reflecting on, I'm realizing how profound this is, because I think of the guardrail. I think that our friendship has been for me, that has protected me and prevented me from what I think could have been some pretty detrimental deviations from like God's will or God's path in my life, and to have somebody that you've walked through so much with that knows you like so well, knows your strengths, knows your weaknesses, knows your tendencies, almost like in some ways like not obviously not to the level that my wife would know me, but
sure.
I think you're getting pretty close. I think you're getting pretty close. So, but the safety that has provided, I think, in knowing that you can spot things that others wouldn't have, and the whole, we talk about iron sharpening iron at like every men's event that we do over the last 2 decades, but like the truth of that is very, very real. Like, when you have somebody who knows you that well and is able to like speak truth to you and help guide and like shape, it's transformative.
It absolutely is. I think you're right. It is profound. It's oftentimes something that we don't think of as being profound. It kind of can feel like, oh, this is just ordinary, or this is, just how life is. But actually, man, that verse of iron sharpening iron, like, it is true. And it's also vulnerable. Like, I think oftentimes we can feel fairly vulnerable, but actually there's a lot of security that comes with being known. I was talking to someone recently, and I was expressing that, like, how vulnerability actually brings security. Especially when you're vulnerable with people that of wise counsel, that are running the race with you, that are always going to point you to Jesus. There's actually real security in being vulnerable with those people. Because I think it's true. Like, they're only going to point you in the direction of Jesus and to be like him. And so that's been true for me as well. As we've walked alongside one another. And others, we have others around us that do the same for us.
But who's the best?
Always ask that question, don't you?
Don't answer that. Don't answer that.
It's your hair.
Well, great. I'm grateful to be sitting across the table, and that was like a bonus section of our discussion.
Just a little taste,
little bonus for everybody. But one of the things that I've really appreciated you about you more recently is like your passion for your family. And I think there were some things that seemed like that God started to speak to you about leading your family. And I wonder if you could just like maybe articulate what was it that shifted in you. And what did God kind of speak to you through that process?
Yeah, I think there's probably this idea about fathering that comes across, I think, in most Christian worlds, that like you have this responsibility as a father to both provide and protect. And I think that comes across really, really clear. But I think that there's another side of fathering that oftentimes I think we can miss, which is intentional fathering. And being really intentional in the formation of not just our kids, but our family. And I was really challenged by a few guys, but one in particular was John Tyson. He wrote the book Intentional Father, which is a great book. I encourage any father to pick that book up, read that book. And so a lot of what I say comes a little bit from that. But also I think as I have gone through our leadership development material in our leadership pipeline, which we pushed out through at Jubilee to like really help people get tracks to run on. What does it look like to develop your leadership? As I went through that process as well, I think I just began to realize, man, I want to be intentional, not just with my own development, but I want to be intentional with my family and seeing my family develop and have values and vision for what we're going for. And so I think I didn't just want to be a dad and a husband that provided and protected. Yes, I did. But I also wanted to be an intentional dad, an intentional husband that is intentionally forming, what God has entrusted to me. Because that's the reality is, as men, He's entrusted, our families to us. And so how are you going to steward that? I think was the thing that really began to fuel my thought process around how can I be a more intentional husband? How can I be a more intentional father? And kind of how does that flesh out? So I think that was kind of like in my mind as I began to think about some of this stuff. And then I was at something similar to our Good Men conference that we had recently with Donnie Griggs, who many people would probably know. He wrote a book called Becoming Good Men. And I was at their men's conference in North Carolina, and there's just some things that were said about vision for your family that kind of lined up with what I was already feeling, even God leading me into. And so I kind of walked away from that conference thinking, okay, God, what does this look like for me? And how do I really do this? How do I be this intentional dad? How do I be this intentional husband? How do I lead my family with vision? And not just look to provide and protect for them, but to be really, really engaged. Yeah. So that was kind of how I came to that.
I mean, I think for anyone that's known you for any length of time, I think probably could see like before God started speaking this stuff to you, I think we could have looked at your life, your family, your fathering, and been like, I mean, I think he's doing pretty good. Like, sure. I mean, he seems to be leading with some intentionality, like, I mean, you're a man with a lot of convictions and you feel the call of leadership, like within the home, you take that very seriously. And then on top of that, like you're engaged in foster care and you're cultivating, creating environments in your home that aren't just for your biological kids, but expanding those borders. And so I think a lot of people would be like, well, you're doing all right. Why do you need to, what were you missing? What is the more that God was leading you into, that you felt like maybe was lacking, or that God was like highlighting? You're like, actually there's something else that God wants me to engage in, beyond that stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think the thing that was really helpful for me was in Genesis 18, 19, it's Abraham, and it says this. It says, "For I have chosen him, that he may command his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice." Mm. And I think that was just fairly convicting for me. Mm. I think as well, I think I see the world that my kids are growing up in, which is a drastically different world than I grew up in. Mm-hmm. I mean, I even talked to, other kids in high school and things like that. There are things that my kids, she was 8 at the time, my oldest, is experiencing in grade school, when it comes to pushback against the gospel that mm-hmm. I did not experience until I was an adult and out of school. Yeah. And I think I just began to realize, man, I truly am, as Proverbs says, training my kids. Like, I have a responsibility to train them, similar to what God is pointing out here to Abraham, which is, you have a responsibility to your children and your household to, basically lead them in my way, mm-hmm. not your own way, but mm-hmm. in my way. And so I think that was kind of the thing in me that was like, man, I even think too, like the foster care stuff, like, you know how it is. I mean, you're having a child in your home that is coming from, sometimes you don't even know the history. Yeah. And so you're encountering things that are coming out that you're kind of getting punched from the left and the right all at the same time. Mm-hmm. And really what they need is stability, and they need a sense of consistency and direction. Yeah. And so, I don't want to be heavy-handed, but I do want to give direction. Hey, this is the way that we're going. And what we found, even with our foster son, over the years, like direction and consistency have been really helpful for him. And then I started to think, well, wouldn't that be helpful for my kids as well? Mm-hmm. My bio kids. Yeah. So how do we do that? Well, I think it's following in the way of the Lord. Mm-hmm. And then it takes you down this path a little bit of, okay, well, what does that look like? And how do we do those things? And so that's kind of the journey that started for me.
So that started the journey. And then it sounds like through that process, which I assume was, not overnight, but over the course of some time, like, did God start to lay the groundwork for that and kind of give you some clarity behind what that could look like with your family?
Yeah, I think over time, I think what I walk away from that conference, I have all these things kind of mulling over my head. I have, a bunch of different types of materials in front of me where it's like, okay, this intentional father book that is super helpful in opening your eyes to, okay, someone's going to disciple your son. That's a quote that John Tyson had. Mm-hmm. It's like, someone's going to disciple your children. It's either going to be the world, or it's going to be you and the people that you put around them. Mm-hmm. And that is like the call that I really felt like, man, I want to be that type of dad. Like, I want to make sure, and I want to train them in these things. And then even the leadership development stuff, where it kind of has you go through some things where you talk about values and you talk about vision, and it gives you some helpful steps in that. And I just felt myself wanting to go, can I just like mold these things together? Can I just like put these together? Mm-hmm. And like, no, I'm not planting a church. No, I'm not, writing a vision statement or a mission statement for some organization. But I am in a role in this family where I can do that. Mm-hmm. Like, I can give direction and vision and clarity to my children, and even to my wife, where we can come together and say, this is what we're going for. Mm-hmm. And so as I began to think through that, I was like, why wouldn't we have like a family life verse? Mm. Like, hey, this is what we live by. This is what we're about. Like, so if I kept asking myself that question, if someone looked at my kids and said, what is this? What does it mean to be a Stanley? Mm-hmm. What would they say? I think they'd say a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. I think some of the things I probably would be like, don't say that. Yeah. Some of them would be like, yeah, that's great. But I think over time, what I just began to realize was like, man, I want, when they get asked that question, I think I want them to be able to have a real clear answer. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where it prompted us Anna and I to start looking at, okay, what does it look like for us to put some structure to this? And so the first thing that we did, and I could get into some of the practicals here of just like, for us, there was some rhythms in our family life that we felt like were really important. One was our own personal, Anna and I's personal relationships with the Lord.
Yeah.
So what we understand is like, man, if I'm not thriving in my relationship with God, my family won't thrive. My marriage won't thrive.
Yeah.
So we dedicate, one overnight for each of us to do like silence and solitude type trip once a year. And so we make sure that that's in our calendar every year. We have it, doesn't move. And we make sure that we have it there. And on that trip, we go and we're with the Lord. We shut everything off. And we just seek God for ourselves, but also for refreshment, our family, our kids, all those things. The second thing is that we decided, okay, we are going to have a once a year, and I get really cheesy about this stuff, but what I call it is a marriage summit. And so we go away for 2 nights. It's basically like 2.5 days. And we go to a secluded cabin. We make sure that we save that money, so we have that money to be able to do that. And we do something similar that we do on our individual trips. We seek the Lord together. And this year, I really was like, okay, I'm going to come into this. And basically, we went through this time. I made like a little workbook for Anna and I. Again, kind of a little cheesy, but I made a little workbook and I was like, okay, we're going to work through, what we want a family life verse. We want a mission statement. We want a vision statement for our family. And then we want to walk away with, these are the 5 values of our family. And so we just kind of went through this workbook, and it's a little bit of like reading a couple verses and contemplating and praying and waiting on God and answering some questions to get us thinking about what does this look like. And so we spent that 2.5 days in October of just laying this out, and it was work. Like if you sit down with my wife, she's going to tell you, man, we toiled over these things because we wanted to walk away with like, hey, this is who we are.
Yeah.
And then it was like, how do we dispense this to our kids? And so every morning, especially during school, the summer has been a little wonky as it is. But every morning before they go to school, it was, hey, we're going to memorize our family life verse. We're going to memorize our mission statement. We're going to learn the values of this is who we are. Now that's the structure and how we do that every day. So that's most weekday mornings as I'm up with the kids doing that during breakfast. We sit down, we don't turn the TV on. Hey, we're going to sit down and work through this together. And I make it fun. Sometimes I'll do like little examples of, I did the whole like baking soda and vinegar thing about, this is God, this is love in us. Like we don't have all the love we need, but God pours his Spirit on us and it overflows. And so then it's like this fun thing that they get to see and have this visual reminder of what that looks like. And then every month what we do is we have a family celebration night where that night we like order pizza or something fun, and we set it out on the floor. And during dinner, we kind of just go around and each kid knows, hey, you're going to go and you're going to point out when your sibling did one of our values in this month. And you're going to share that, and then we're going to celebrate like crazy. Like we're going to scream, we're going to clap, and we're going to jump up and down and all those things. And then we include dance parties in that as well, just to experience like the celebration of it all. But that's kind of like, in terms of like how we got to that point, it was Anna and I seeking the Lord together. And I do think that those trips are really helpful because they help get you outside of that stuff, outside of what's going on, to be able to focus on what does God have before us.
Yeah.
And what is that what does that look like for us? And then the other big thing that we do in a year, we do like our typical vacation type thing in the summer.
Which you just got back from?
Just got back from Florida. It was great.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Had a ton of fun just with the kids. But over their spring break, so we have our marriage summit in the fall, and over our kids' spring break, we do the Stanley family summit.
Nice.
And we go out to a cabin in the woods, and they have to fend for themselves. No, I'm joking. We do.
You eat what you kill.
Yeah. We'll do some specific things that coincide with our values.
Yeah.
Whether it be putting a puzzle together without the picture. That's really difficult. So like this idea of like vision for our family, like if we don't have a picture of what this looks like, putting this puzzle together is impossible. Mm. But if we have a picture of what it looks like, which is why mom and dad have created what it means to be a Stanley, then we know what we're going for, and we can put this thing together and we can live this way. So just different fun things like that. And then, we have fun out in the wilderness and fish and all that stuff. So we do that as well with our kids. And, we've even been going through the process of making a logo. Like we want this like design for our family to where it's like we make patches and like, giving them these visual reminders for like, every family, Stanley Family Summit, man, you're going to get this patch and you get to put it on your backpack. And, it's something to remind you about that trip.
Yeah. Sounds like you're building some sort of like identity kind of attached to your family unit. Yeah. Is that how you describe it?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I think that's the reality too. When you look at even in the Old Testament, like you see these guys, these fathers of the faith, or Abraham and all these guys. It's like there was this identity that God is wanting to create within the people of God. He's wanting to like give clear direction of what that looks like. You see that all throughout Paul's letters. Like Paul is writing to the church because he's wanting to give a clear picture of this is what we are supposed to look like. Mm-hmm. And so when my kids, the voice of the world is really, really loud. Mm-hmm. And so when they get confronted with those things, the thing that I want them to feel is like, hey, actually, no, I know what's true. And so our family life verse that we kind of landed on is Psalm 1:1-3. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers, but his delight is the law of the Lord. Mm-hmm. So understanding that, hey, the law, his word is really important. And we're not just to read it, but we're to delight in it. What does it look like to delight in it? And talking about that. Now, if he does that, he's like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in its season. His leaves do not wither, and all he does, he prospers. Mm. And like, that's what I want my kids to live with is, hey, if I trust in the Lord, if I open his word, if I delight in his word, this is what I know for sure, that I will be like a tree planted by streams of water. Yeah. And, Jeremiah 17 says something very similar to Psalm 1. Which is like, hey, there is going to be drought that comes, but those who are planted by the stream, their leaves will not wither. It doesn't say if drought comes. It says when drought comes, they will still prosper. Mm-hmm. And so our kids living with that. And then going through just like a few of the other things, our mission statement, mm-hmm. for instance, is like Christ defines who we are. He directs what we do. Rooted in his love and living for his glory, we seek to know him and be known by him, love each other sacrificially, and share his love freely so that his kingdom may be seen through our lives. So living that way. Like who defines who you are? Kids. Mm-hmm. Does the world? No. Christ defines who we are, and he directs what we do. And so living that way and then giving them the values for it. So we didn't want to like come up with like 14 values and they couldn't, So we came up with 5 values. First one was submit to God's word, which you can find in Psalm 1:1-3. Second one was love and care for others. That we want you to live this way. This is how God's created us. He's designed us to love and care for others. He's called us to build his church. That's the third value. The fourth value is to serve humbly and do what's right. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to do anything, serve him and do what's right. Mm-hmm. And the only way you're going to know that is if you are rooted by the stream. And then the fifth one is finding joy and peace in God in every season. So, hey, we're going to experience hard things, but like what we're going for is if we're close to him, our leaves will not wither and all we do will prosper. Doesn't mean life's perfect, but what it does mean is we experience his life and his peace all the time. With the end hope of Psalm 144, it says that may your sons in their youth be like plants fully grown, your daughters like corner pillars cut from the structure of a palace. I want people to look back on my life and say, man, your kids, not because I want the best kids. I do want great kids, and I do have great kids. But I want them to look back on it and be like, man, they love Jesus and they live that way and they give everything they have for it. Like, I don't care if they make a bunch of money. I don't care if they have an amazing job, but what I do care about is that they love Jesus and that they follow him with all that they have. Mm-hmm. And so I think like giving them that direction is only going to help them. And me encouraging, Anna and I encouraging our kids to live this way. Yeah. Now this has done wonders for Anna and I's marriage. Like we feel like we're on the same page, like more than we ever have been. Like we feel like we're leading in a direction that's just really fruitful. And I think we're seeing the fruit in our kids. I mean, more gospel conversations are happening with our kids right now. I see them pointing out the values and what we're going for.
Yeah. How did they respond? How did your kids respond to this when you kind of brought some of these things to them?
Yeah. I mean, obviously you have the moments where they're like, like Dad, like, why do we got to do this again this morning? And it's like, again, not being like, hey, we're just going to do it. Like, just get over it. Yeah. But actually being like, hey guys, like inviting them into my own time with the Lord. Like, hey, I read this morning, guys, before you got up this morning. Mm-hmm. I read this and this is what it did in me. And this is what I want for you. And I think the more that we've been able to do that, the more that they've been like, oh, what would God say to me as we're doing these things? Now, again, we make it really fun. I think you got to make it fun. So you can't just pull up a piece of paper and be like,
spreadsheet.
All right, kids, it's time.
Yeah.
But actually making it fun to where it's like, hey, you do these little things that make them remember this value, make them want that value, but then celebrate. I think the biggest thing for us, because I'm not great at celebrating. Anna's really great at celebrating. And so she has always been really great in those family celebration, Friday nights once a month where we are just like, man, the music's loud when we dance. When we sit down to eat, it's very much like celebrating those wins. And even throughout the month, like just celebrating those moments, I think has engaged them in a way that they like want to, serve humbly and do what's right. They want, we saw our oldest like want to start serving in our kids ministry, so she's in the toddler room, in the nursery.
Yes, great.
Holding babies, playing with kids. And she's like, that's my favorite value. I'm like, why is it your favorite value? Because I love doing this. Like, it's been so great. So again, yeah, you have to lead through their kids. So it's like, they're going to be like, I don't want to do this at times, but the consistency, the overflow of your own heart, I think that they catch that and they see that and they want to be like it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's been, I think, a helpful thing.
What I think of when I hear you kind of walking through some of those things, the mission statements, the values, it makes me reflect on like, I think our tendency, and I know I can see this sometimes in my own parenting, is the values that I communicate are often things like not whining about pointless stuff and finishing your dinner and not arguing, and because like our parenting is so often trying to keep our almost like the surface behaviors dealt with, whereas I think what you're describing is pretty transformative, because what you're doing is you're addressing the heart, and you're addressing like these character components that are way beneath the behaviors, but they're forming and shaping your kids that in a way that's going to impact those surface level behaviors. Yeah, which I think is really profound. I think in a lot of ways. I think I don't know how many parents, including myself, like really take into consideration the deeper levels of how we're shaping and how we're forming, our kids, which I think is, so impactful to hear you kind of walk through some of those things.
Yeah, I think that's true, because I think oftentimes, we hear it as adults, like our outward emotion or behavior is like a check engine light, or like it's like a symptom of what's going on beneath the surface. And oftentimes I think we do as parents, we address the, hey, don't do that thing, which I'm not saying I'm perfect. So I for sure say, hey, stop doing it.
Which sometimes you have to. Like that's just part of the parenting deal.
For sure. And especially when they're young. You've got to be really directive. You've got to be, hey, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. But I think as my kids have gotten older, especially my sons, I feel this really for my boys. I have one girl and 3 boys. I want Stanley boys to be men who carry weight in the church. Yeah. Now, what I'm not saying is they have to be pastors. I'm not saying that. No, I want them to be disciples of Jesus. And so any moment I have, especially with, my 8-year-old boy and my almost 7-year-old, 3-year-old is just kind of like, he's just so cute. It doesn't matter. But with those two in particular, like anytime they have this intense emotion, I think I lived a lot of my life with like, man, emotion is not good, and you just need to stifle that and figure it out, be a man. But I want to help them like harness, like what does God put in you? And so even finding those moments when they act out, hey, how do I tie this back to a value? Yeah. Like, hey, and even like when they act out, like, hey, this is not who you are. Like, you hit your sister or you hit your brother, and you just cold cocked him, like right in the back of the head. Hey, that's not who you are. Yeah. Like, who are you? I'm like the blessed man. They'll say that stuff now. Like, I want to be like the blessed man. I want, that's not loving and caring for others. Okay. So like that, let's talk about that. Hey, we want to love and care for others. What made you do that? What made you hit? Well, they took that toy, or they did that thing that I didn't want. They played more time on the Switch than I got to play. It's like, well, what do you think a loving and caring thing would have been? You could have talked to them about it. So it's that type of stuff that I think it's prompted, and it's changed the way I think for me as a dad, it's changed the way I view each and every one of my kids. I think one of the things that John Tyson says in that Intentional Father book, he talks about how each kid is uniquely designed by God and has given them to you as their dad. And because of that, each kid, you respond differently. Now, what I'm not saying is like, oh yeah, I got to respond, like I got to walk on eggshells. No, I'm not going to walk on eggshells, but I am. What speaks to my son Judah's heart? What speaks to my daughter Waverly's heart? Like, how do I get there? And like, how do I see how God's created them and help train them? But yes, the values are the same, but the outworking of those values in each kid is probably going to look a little different. They're going to, like Waverly, she loves to serve. So she's really going to go for that. And Judah loves and cares for people. Very thoughtful, very intentional in observing individuals when they're experiencing intense emotion. Anytime I get emotional, he like comes up to me and puts his arms around me. It's like, man, I want to foster that, because there's probably a pastoral heart in him that I want to see grow and flourish. And so I think each kid, individually, uniquely made by God, really, we have an amazing opportunity as dads to train them in those things. And I think one of the things too that Tyson says in his book, which I thought was really helpful, is think about the last day. Think about the day that the moving truck pulls up and your kid is packing up their stuff into that moving truck. You know, what do you want them to think about when they're leaving home? I don't want them to question who they are. I don't want them to question my love for them or what I did for them or how I love them, whatever. I want them to know who they are and who Christ has made them to be. And I want to be sending them, not wishing I had those years back. And so I think I live that. I begun to really live that way. I want to take advantage of every moment. Again, we don't get it perfect. So yeah, there's certain days that it's really hard. But then there are other days, man, there's so much purpose and clarity around what we're doing that I think has only benefited our marriage, and our kids are getting stronger. They're getting more clarity, more stability. And we have really seen it help our foster son quite a bit with, just the structure around it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, what advice would you give to maybe parents that are seeing the benefits or the importance of what you're describing and want to emulate or start that journey themselves of like really thinking through purposefully, hey, what's our identity as a family and how do we want to shape and lead our kids?
I can't remember who had this quote. It was Thomas Jefferson or someone, Alexander Hamilton, I don't know. But it was like, the best day to prepare for 20 years ago was 20 years ago. But the best day to prepare for it now is today. And I think that's oftentimes we can be like, I've got to have, honestly, I went into our weekend away in October, kind of like, we're going to see what happens, but we got to have something. It turned out way better than I thought it was going to turn out. But I think I would just encourage people to start there. Because if you're wondering if it would be a good thing or not, I would just tell people, like, it's going to be a good thing. Like, having this type of vision and direction for your family is only going to be a good thing. It's actually going to give you more dependency upon God, because you're going to see, hey, if we have this big vision, how are we going to accomplish this? Well, we're going to depend on the Lord. So I would just encourage people, like, take the time. It doesn't have to be a whole weekend. It can be, just take small chunks, like every evening. Don't turn the TV on. Just, you and your wife sit down. If you're a single parent, I think you can do this as well, like having that vision and direction for your family. And I think just taking the time to sit with God and to say, okay, what are we going to build our life around? How are we going to do it? And I mean, if anyone wants it, I'm happy to give the workbook that I made for Anna and I. Happy to give that.
Maybe we can put a link or something in the
be great
YouTube channel or something.
Just to give and even an example of my own family stuff, so you can see it. And I mean, if you want to copy and paste it, that's great too. I just think having that is huge.
Even just having some tracks to run on, I think is great.
Yeah.
I think what I hear you saying is like the foundation of this journey just really started with seeking the Lord and asking God, really devoting some time.
Yes.
Some seclusion away from the busyness of everything, just to sit with God with these things and allow Him to kind of lead and guide and direct some of that vision, like creating that vision for your family. And like, how has He wired us? What does He want us to want our family to express and to communicate based on how we live?
Yep. That was a huge part of it, was
Yeah.
just the waiting on God. And I think as we did that, things became really clear for us.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what we want.
Yeah. That's great, man.
Yeah.
Is there anything else on that topic that you feel like would be important to share?
No, I think that's the general idea is like, man, I just have a passion to see, especially like men,
Yeah.
fathers. I mean, Father's Day was just, not that long ago. And I had the privilege of speaking on Father's Day and just realizing just how much of a passion this is for me now. And just like, I've only been a dad for 10 years, which is crazy to think I've been a dad for 10 years, but also only been a dad for 10 years. And so I think I could have had a little bit of like, oh gosh, like I don't want to, but man, I really feel like there are men that probably feel that, like this desire to like lead with vision in their families. But oftentimes we were just like spinning our wheels, like, oh, that's just going to take a lot of work. And I don't know where to start. And that's kind of how I felt. But I think as I just began to take those steps, things began to just go, and they looked really, really clear for us. And so, man, I just think, dads, if we can not just be providers and protectors, but if we could be those that are intentional in our formation of our family, I think not only would your marriage look different, your kids would look different. Not only that, I think our churches would look different. Because I think we would be men that are waiting on God, and He's forming us, and we're forming our families. And I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate the example that you're setting with this stuff, man.
Yeah.
Just excited to see God continuing to just fan that stuff to flame that He's put in you, and trust that He's gonna that impact is gonna be far beyond your family, and impacting other families as well. And appreciate that a lot. I thought maybe we could end with this quote. We started talking about our friendship.
Yeah.
And I was reminded of this C.S. Lewis quote that I just thought was pretty profound.
Yeah.
All right, it says this: in friendship, we think we have chosen our peers. In reality, a few years difference in the dates of our births, a few more miles between certain houses, the choice of one university instead of another, the accident of a topic being raised or not raised at a first meeting, any of these chances might have kept us apart. But for a Christian, there are, strictly speaking, no chances. A secret master of ceremonies has been at work. What a C.S. Lewis type of thing to say.
Yeah.
Christ, who said to the disciples, "Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you," can truly say to every group of Christian friends, "Ye have not chosen one another, but I have chosen you for one another." The friendship is not a reward of our discriminating and good taste in finding one another out. It is the instrument by which God reveals to us the beauties of others.
That's pretty good, man.
That summarizes, man, how grateful I am for you, and I appreciate our friendship and everything that you communicated today, man. I'm blessed by you.
I'm blessed by you.
All right.
Real. Thanks, man.
See ya.